So you speak on behalf of 170,000, as you say. What is your message to international investors from the CBI?
What is their kind of USP? What is it that we're going to go after?
What is the CBI doing to attract more inward investment from abroad?
Some of those early signs have been encouraging.
How important is planning?
We definitely know from investors that are coming to the UK, it's something that they find really frustrating about the UK versus other countries.
Do you feel as though this particular administration understands what growth and productivity is?
One of the things that we are seeing is...
Sounds to me like you've got a lot of work to do. Welcome to Talking Markets. I'm Michael Wilson, joined by an old friend of mine, if I can put it like that, David.
You keep having to do that, don't you? I feel very sorry for you. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. And very pleased to see we're joined by Louise Hellem, who's Chief Economist at the CBI, the Confederation of British Industry, which was going through quite a time, wasn't it, a couple of years ago? Is it now back on track as far as you're concerned?
That's right, yeah. I'm actually really proud of where we are as an organisation right now. We are back to doing what we do best, really championing the voice of British business.
New government, new broom, slightly disparaging comments by the Prime Minister about the immediate future for business, industry and commerce, which is when I'm trying to attract inward investors, not really what I want to hear. But how do you think things are progressing after, say, just 2 months? And how different do you think things will be after the budget on the 30th of October?
So I think with any new government, you often get a lot of excitement and energy, and we definitely saw that with this government. I mean, I think you have to give Labour credit that they really came in and hit the ground running, very positive about some of those messages on growth, the announcements around planning. You know, that's been a big perennial issue for business as well.
How important is planning, just to interrupt you for a second?
So it's one of those things that, again, cuts across every kind of business, every sector. And not only does it slow down investment decisions, but we definitely know from investors that are coming to the UK, it's something that they find really frustrating about the UK versus other countries. And not is it only just important in that day-to-day, but actually if you're thinking about some of the big things that we want to do as a country, like our net zero transition, like becoming more digital and innovative, you need to make sure you've got the right planning there to build the data centres that you need to make the transition to a new energy system, and that really is fundamental. And so we're really pleased that the government is hopefully tackling
growth,
that now.
Productivity, those are the key words, aren't they? Every country wants that.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though this particular administration understands what growth and productivity is? And if you do, how are they showing it so far?
So I think, like I say, some of those early signs have been encouraging, and a lot of it, again, some of it might be seen as some of the more boring things around having that policy stability.
That's no bad thing though, is it?
Exactly, tackling some of the, like I say, perennial issues like planning, like business rates reform. I think one of the things though that we are seeing is we have seen some of the messages shift a little bit from the government at the moment. So like I say, very positive in those first couple of weeks, all about growth. We're now hearing a lot, as you said, about the kind of fiscal black hole, some of the troubles there. And I think, you know, we have been saying to the government, you just do need to be a little bit cautious about that, because everybody in the UK is watching, international investors are watching as well. If you're saying everything is all kind of doom and gloom whilst trying to get growth and investment going, that's really difficult, you know.
Sounds to me like you've got a lot of work to do.
Well, I think we all have. I mean, if you look at the economy at the moment, so things are picking up. You know, we've left behind, hopefully, some of those big shocks that we've seen in the economy. But we all know growth, and particularly, like I say, productivity, is not where it needs to be in this country. And that is fundamental for things like living standards, but also for making sure that public finances are in the right position. And particularly because of that financial position of the government, we know that, you know, we can't just get out of this through public spending. Actually, the majority of the investment is going to come from the private sector. So it's thinking about how can we work in partnership with government. And I think some of the encouraging things that we also saw from the new government is one of the first things that they did is to meet with the devolved nations, to meet with the mayors, actually go out and meet with some of our
so levelling up is still
Europe.
on the agenda, big time.
I think it needs to be fundamental. Yep. And again, I think what we need to see is that collaboration at every working level. We don't want everything to be happening through Westminster. but we need to think about how growth works in every region and nation. And one of the other things that I'm involved in actually is Tracy Braben out in West Yorkshire has got a kind of expert group around how to develop their economic plans for the region, and I sit on that forum and again have been helping to think through what is the USP for West Yorkshire, how can we make sure that we've got that engagement with business. And again, I think that's where we need to be really clear, both for the UK as a whole, but for each of these regions, what is their kind of USP, what is it that we're going to go after, and again being really clear with the investor community, and then make sure we've got the plans in place to make that happen.
And you can listen to the full version of that podcast wherever you get your podcast from.